What's up, guys? Today I want to talk a little bit about soldering. Now, soldering is a skill that I think every guitar player should have, or at least be somewhat proficient in it. You don't have to be an expert, you don't have to be an electronics expert. This is going to be the first video in a series. This is just kind of the introduction to soldering, how soldering works, and the next video is actually going to be me fixing Mike's bass. But basically, everything that is electronic in a guitar is soldered together. If you know how to solder, then you know how to change pickups, you know how to change jacks, you know how to basically change any electronic component on your guitar and fix it in case something breaks, because it's very common for wires to come undone in a guitar because, you know, things happen. You know, your guitar is getting bumped around if you're going to a gig. It is what it is. I'm going to do a little demonstration with just a couple pieces of wires, but the concepts are similar pretty much with anything that you're soldering. So the things you need are solder, a soldering iron, some wire to practice on, and just a little bit of time. Now, your soldering iron matters. If you go get a cheapo soldering iron, it's probably not going to get hot enough to do everything you need it to do. So I recommend getting a nice Weller soldering iron, or there's some soldering stations like I have that have hot air. So if you need to warm something up or mount some heat shrink tube onto the things that you're soldering together, that's very helpful. It also gets extremely hot. So please like and subscribe. Throw a comment down below. Let me know if you have any tips. And I'm going to get to soldering. So first we're going to twist these wires together. Just going to twist those wires until they're all nice and tight. Then you want to take both ends and you want to twist those together. And you want to kind of keep them somewhat straight. It can be kind of a pain, but you basically want to wrap these around each other so that they're nice and put together. Make sure you try to do it as tight as you can. I don't know if you can see that. As tight as you can, just kind of like that. So I'm using this little holder. You can get those at Harbor Freight for pretty cheap. I think they're only like $10 or $15 max. Basically what you're going to do is put your soldering iron on the wires themselves, and you're going to warm up the entire thing. And then once the wire gets warm enough to melt the solder, then you can just solder on there, and it actually just kind of soaks up the solder. And just like that, that's a super strong solder joint. That's never going to come apart. So once you have the wires soldered together, you're going to want to put some heat shrink tubing on it. You're going to want to wrap it up with some electrical tape if you have it. But yeah, that is basically all there is to soldering. Some people really like to use solder flux, which is supposed to help it wick onto things. But when you're soldering wires, it doesn't really matter. And that's a nice solid joint. Like, you're not pulling that baby apart. Like, it's together. So that's the end of part one of this video series. The next video I will actually be fixing the output jack on Mike's bass. Mike is the bassist in our cover band Poor Judgment. You should check out the vlogs from our rehearsals and all that good stuff. I'll link those down below. And if you haven't, please like and subscribe. It really helps support the channel. And just keep on rocking.